Right. So are you ready to really get into this film? It's called Dangerous Waters. It came out in 2023. And it's a pretty intense thriller. And the really interesting thing is, we usually have like a bunch of sources for these deep dives, but this one, we're working with just one.
Yeah.
It's a translated summary.
Ah,
So it was originally written in Hindi Urdu,
interesting.
and then obviously translated into English for us. So that adds a whole other layer to our analysis, I think.
Yeah.
Just thinking about how that cultural lens might color the interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's almost like, we've got a mystery and then another mystery on top of that.
Right, exactly.
We've got the suspense of the film itself, but also, how is this being presented to us through this, translation, this cultural interpretation?
It's like a filtered perspective,
Yeah.
Okay, so the film opens with Rose. She's our main character, and she looks pretty beat up, let's just say. Then it flashes back a few weeks, and we see her and her mom heading off on this trip. It seems like it's going to be this, idyllic getaway. They're going to visit her mom's old friend named Derek.
Oh.
He's got this boat called Enelitzia.
And, right from the start, there are these hints that something isn't quite right. Like, Rose, she's suspicious of Derek right away.
Yeah.
And even the car breaking down on the way to the marina, it feels like ominous,
Totally. It's like those classic horror movie things where you just know something bad's coming. Oh, and speaking of foreshadowing, that boat name, Enelitzia,
Mm-hmm.
turns out it was Derek's late wife's name, which we find out later is just one of his lies. He's just full of them.
Mm-hmm. Clever way to set the stage for his character, though.
Right.
He seems like this charming old friend, but then the boat, which is always there throughout the film, it kind of hints at this darker side
Yeah.
and a potential for deception.
Totally. And that deception, it starts becoming pretty clear. Once they set sail, Rose notices there's no phone signal.
Isolated.
Isolated, yeah.
Uneasy.
But her mom, she's totally oblivious, totally charmed by Derek, just reminiscing about old times.
Yeah.
And trusts him completely.
Yeah.
Derek even starts teaching Rose to sail and, gives them both gifts. Yeah, sure for her mom. And get this, a knife for Rose.
A knife.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's an interesting detail, that knife. It seems strange, maybe even a little bit inappropriate, right? But as the story goes on, that knife, it becomes this powerful symbol, almost like representing the threat that Derek poses, but also Rose's, eventual empowerment.
Yeah, it's like, what is it, Chekhov's gun or something like that. Like, if you see a knife in Act 1, it's got to come back later, and oh boy, it does. Things take a turn when a strong wind knocks Rose's mom overboard. And while Rose is looking for, a blanket to warm her up, she finds this hidden compartment on the boat, and guess what's inside?
What?
Weapons, guns, ammo, all sorts of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's a major turning point. It confirms all Rose's suspicions about Derek. It just blows his cover completely, And it goes from bad to worse really fast. The boat gets attacked by these armed men, and they want information from Derek.
Oh, no.
But he doesn't cooperate. So they shoot Rose's mom, killing her instantly. And Derek himself gets wounded and falls into the sea. Rose is just left there, terrified and alone, clutching a gun she found on the boat.
Wow.
Just brutal.
Yeah.
Just like that, everything changes. Rose has to fight to survive. And she just saw her mom get murdered. She's facing this unknown enemy.
Chillin'.
Totally. So she spends this horrifying night huddled next to her mom's body, completely lost. But when the sun rises, she makes a shocking discovery. Derek, still alive, clinging to a rope.
Oh.
Yeah, trailing behind the boat.
So he's not dead?
Nope. And this is where it gets trippy. Is this good luck for Rose? Or a whole new nightmare? She needs him to survive. I mean, the boat's damaged, but she's even more suspicious of him now. It's like, enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? But how much can she trust this guy? He could be responsible for all of this.
Right.
So she pulls him aboard, and the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife.
Oh, I see what you did there.
As they're trying to get back to land, Rose notices these weird things about Derek's story, like it's not adding up. And then she finds these photos. They reveal his past. He's this disgraced ex-cop who turned to crime, and he's connected to the guys who attacked them.
Oh. Wow, so he's been lying the whole time.
The whole time. Rose realizes she's been completely played, and her mom's trust in him. Just tragic. She could be in even more danger now.
So what does she do?
She decides to take charge, tries to tie Derek up, but he's too clever, escapes, and they end up in this standoff. But they have to work together, at least for now, just to survive.
A very uneasy alliance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And their journey takes them to this deserted island.
Okay.
And on this island, they have this near-death experience on a makeshift raft. And get this, Derek saves Rose's life.
He does.
Yeah, it throws her for a loop. She sees this little bit of humanity in the guy who might be responsible for her mom's death.
So can someone like that really be capable of kindness?
Right. It's a total moral dilemma. And it gets even more complicated when they're sitting around a campfire on this island and Derek decides to confess.
Confess.
Yeah,
Mm.
about everything.
Yeah.
He talks about being part of this criminal network and his plan to sell Rose into this horrifying fate, just like other girls they kidnapped, and how he lured her and her mom onto the boat for this exact reason.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's like a bomb just dropped. Now it's not just about surviving, it's about facing the truth about this guy, the depths of his deception, and his truly terrifying intentions.
Wow. This is heavy stuff.
It's just, I don't know, it's gut punch. Just when you think things can't get worse, she finds out this guy she's relying on was going to sell her. Like, it's horrific what he had planned.
Yeah, it really shows you, how easy it is to be deceived, especially when you're vulnerable, It makes you think about how we judge people, how we decide who to trust.
You just never know, right? And what's even crazier, Rose, she doesn't give up. She's tough. She's not going down without a fight.
She's a survivor.
Totally. So she tries to shoot Derek with the gun she found, but it's empty. He overpowers her,
Yeah.
but she gets away, escapes into the jungle on that island.
Oh, wow.
It's intense, like a cat and mouse case, but the stakes are so high. Derek's dangerous, and he knows the island.
She's running for her life.
She is. And she makes it back to the boat, sets sail, and leaves Derek behind, or so she thinks. But the boat, it's sinking. She has to make these impossible choices, like what to throw overboard to stay afloat.
I bet that was tough.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. She has to leave her mom's body behind.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just, it shows the reality of survival,
Yeah.
the sacrifices you have to make. And through it all, she never gives up hope. After days, adrift on this little raft she made, a ship spots her, rescues her.
Finally safe, right?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But, twist, these aren't the good guys she thought they were.
Yeah.
She sees this other girl on board, drugged, clearly being trafficked.
No.
And it hits her. These are the people Derek was working with. The kidnappers.
So she escapes one nightmare and walks right into another.
It's unbelievable. But here's the thing. Rose, she's learned from Derek. She saw how he manipulated people, how cunning he was, and she uses it to her advantage.
Oh, that's interesting. Turns the tables on them.
Exactly. She comes up with this plan, pretends to be into the boss of the ship, gains his trust, and then, boom, she goes full-on action hero, takes him down, gets a weapon, and just lets loose.
Wow, she's a warrior.
It's awesome. She fights her way through the ship, takes everyone down, and frees the other girls.
A true hero. Talk about female empowerment, right? After everything she went through, she becomes this symbol of hope.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But hold on, there's another twist coming. Remember Derek?
Right.
Left for dead on the island.
Uh-huh.
Guess who shows up on the ship?
Derek, no way.
Yep. He was rescued by his boss, sent to bring Rose back.
He just keeps coming back.
He does. But Rose, she's done with him. And in this amazing moment of, like, poetic justice, she uses that knife, the one Derek gave her,
Oh, wow, yeah.
to kill him. It's over. She's finally free from him.
Powerful. It's like she takes back her power, confronts everything head on. She goes from victim to survivor.
It's a powerful ending to their story. So the ship, it's finally free of Derek and his boss, and they head back to port. Rose and the other girls, they're safe. But when they arrive, you see Rose is still deeply affected by everything. It goes back to the beginning of the film with her all beat up, telling her story to the police.
So even though she's safe, it's not over.
It's not. That trauma, it stays with you.
Makes you think about what happens after the escape, the healing process.
It's tough to see, She survived all that, but she's just broken. And our source, the Hindi Urdu one, it really focuses on this part, her emotional state. Almost like it's saying, you can escape the danger, but the effects linger.
Yeah. And this is where I think having just the one source, it kind of limits us. We see her struggling, but we don't know what happens next. Does she get help? Does she ever really recover?
It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
The film, it doesn't give you all the answers. It wants you to keep thinking about the trauma, the scars,
Yeah.
Even after the physical stuff is healed.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, too, about the cultural aspect. Like, would this ending feel different in a different culture? Maybe somewhere that has a strong emphasis on community, family support. Would it feel more hopeful, maybe?
That's a really good point. Our own backgrounds, they shape how we see a story.
Totally. So we've really dug into this film. It's thrilling, disturbing, and we see Rose go through this incredible transformation from trusting daughter to, wow, a hardened survivor. She faces the worst of humanity. And we've talked about how this one translated source it gives us this unique view, but it also leaves us with some unanswered questions.
Dangerous Waters. It's a film that sticks with you.
Yeah.
It makes you think about trust, betrayal, what it takes to survive, and the strength of the human spirit.
It really does. And we encourage everyone to check it out, see the whole story, and think about those questions we've talked about. What would you do in that situation? How would you rebuild your life after facing something so horrific?
It's been a great deep dive. Really makes you think. And we hope you'll join us again next time as we keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into these stories.